Hello, in this video we're going to look at waypoints and thresholds. So testing the distance from the top of our page to the top of our sections, and then using that to change text and change colors. And in our example, right, there's the status bar changes to white when it gets to this section. The name of the section changes and the count of the section changes. So that's what we'll be looking at in this video. In terms of setup, we're going to begin right where we left off with the other videos. So one little handy thing here is you can collapse, see this little chevron-y thing? You can collapse your functions to make a little more room. So we are going to update text and color of header based on passing positions. And the first thing we need, just like from before, is where are we on the page. So we're going to just copy and paste that. Once again, I could just have one giant function, but I think it's going to be easier to talk about if I break it up. Get rid of that. Okay, so this is telling us how far down the page we've scrolled. The next thing we need to know is like how far down the page each of these sections are. So to do that, first we need a tag. So let's say const one tag, let's do this for now, equals, we're going to do this for all the sections, but for now let's just keep it simple. So let's see, what do I got? We'll start with actually section 2. Section 1 starts at the top of the page. So where does section 2 start? So what we'll do, now that we have the section 2 tag, we're going to say const section two offset equals dot offset, and then log it. Open the console. Right, and if we change the name, change the height of the page, that updates accordingly. We could also check other sections. So just do section 3. That is 496. So here, let's just make the math kind of simple. So we'll make each of these sections 200 pixels tall. And when I scroll, section 1 is 0, section 2 is 200, section 3 is 400, section 4 is 600. But what I want to do is have this work for all the sections, not just section 2. So what I'm going to do is change this to query selector all, and I will select my section class. And then over here, I'm going to grab my section tag. And we'll do a new thing called forEach. And what this is going to do, forEach is a method which will pull each individual element of an array. And so for that, we'll say function We're going to look at a shorthand in a second, but to start, we'll just do our regular thing. And then how this works is within this function, we'll pass the individual element. So within the sections, we are grabbing section. So this could be any word. I mean, it could be Bob or whatever, but it's nice when things make sense. So we're going to say console.log, and then we'll say section dot offset top. And what this should do is, as we scroll, give us cycle through the offset tops, and that's exactly what it's doing. In contemporary JavaScript, you'll see functions written in a few different shorthands, and I've included these in Canvas. You're going to see this written more often than just function. So I want to kind of introduce that now. And so basically we lose the function and we add this little arrow thing and we can test and it still works. It's just a little more elegant, and there's even more reduced shorthands than that. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to create a conditional statement that if our scroll passes one of these sections, do something. Okay, so conditional is usually something like this. If some kind of condition, then do something over here. So we're going to say, we're going to look at each section. If the section dot offset top is less than or equal to the pixels scrolled, do something. And in this case, we'll just use this thing again. All right, so we'll go to the top of our page, we'll refresh, so there's nothing. So we pass section 1, and it's section 1 a bunch of times. And then once we pass section 2, there's 1 and 2 a million times. And then 1, 2, and 3, and then 4. Okay, so this is working. So right now it's just giving us a bunch of numbers, but what we actually want is for this text to update once we go past the sections, right? Now, right now, this is a header that has position fixed, and it's just kind of living over the top of things. So what we want to do is transfer some information from these sections to these elements. And a good way to do that is with this data attribute. So what you can do is you can have data dash something, call it whatever you like, and then add information that way. It's similar to classes. So classes are like a hook from HTML to CSS and also JavaScript. Data is another way to hook information from HTML to JavaScript. And you don't see it in the page, but it can be helpful in transferring information. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull that data and then apply it to our header. So let's do that. So we have to select a few more things. We need to select our section title and our page of. So we'll grab one of these. Call this section title. And we'll use this. dot that. We need another one, so that takes care of this. We also need this one. This one will be page of. So then we're going to change the text of each of these elements. So to change the text, you do inner HTML. And we're going to pull from whatever individual section we're in. So we're going to say section dot get attribute, and we're looking for data section. There it is. It goes to Moosehead Storm, and it goes to some other thing we can't see, but it looks like it's working. So we'll do the same thing with the numbers. So that one is page of, and the data for that is data dash page. And you can see it's working. Okay, so for the last part of this, what we want to do is figure out how to get our style to change based on these dark sections, right? Because the text just disappears here. So we're going to use data attributes again. What we're going to do is the things we want to reverse, we're going to put this data reverse on. And then we're going to add and subtract CSS styling based on if it has this attribute. So here, let's write it down. If section has data reverse, change the styles. So here we have another conditional. If like that, I'll move this up a line. So we're looking for if section dot has attribute, and what attribute are we looking for? Data reverse, do something. Otherwise, that's what else is, do something else. So if it has the data reverse, what we want to do is we need to grab our header. We're going to say header tag dot class list, which we've looked at before. Instead of toggle, we're going to say add a class, which is called white, which we have in our CSS. Otherwise, do the opposite. All right, and let's refresh. And there we go. And so what it's doing, or JavaScript is doing, is it's adding and subtracting this attribute based on if the section has this data reverse data attribute. So we'll do the exact same thing for our scroll bar, and that will be it for this video. So we're going to call this progress tag. For this one, we're going to use another style called progress bar white. I'll grab this one. Oh, and I need the progress tag, sorry. There we go. And so here we have the text updating, the scroll bar updating, an active progress bar. In the last video in this section, we're going to look at adding parallax to these names, numbers, and photos.